Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I want to tell you all you need to know about the Raspberry Pi in 2021. The Raspberry Pi Foundation has been the most successful and highest rated single board computer company since 2012 when its first computer was released. Their goal is to advance the education of adults and children, particularly in the field of computers, computer science, and related subjects. Raspberry Pi computers are a popular choice among tech enthusiasts because of their small price tag, ease of use, and huge community support. What's so special about the Raspberry Pi? What makes it better than other single-board computers? The Raspberry Pi is a powerful single-board computer that is only the size of a credit card. Its small price tag and form factor, backed with a huge community support, makes the Raspberry Pi a perfect tool for kids and adults to explore the world of programming and computing. The Raspberry Pi also has lots of software available for it, including a huge selection of operating systems. Some of these include the popular Raspberry Pi OS, Ubuntu, Windows 10 and 11, and a whole lot of other Linux distros. In fact, the community and software support makes the Raspberry Pi stand out from all other single-board computers. One of the best qualities of the Raspberry Pi is its GPIO, or General Purpose Input-Output pins. These pins allow the Raspberry Pi to connect to the outside world with a wide range of sensors. Raspberry Pi variants. The Raspberry Pi 1B was the first single-board computer the company made. With a whopping 512 megabytes of RAM and a 700 MHz CPU at only $35, it was a steal for its time. In fact, 100,000 Pis were ordered on its release date. After the original success, the Foundation went on to produce several iterations of the Raspberry Pi 1, including the B+ and A+. Later, the Raspberry Pi Foundation made the Raspberry Pi 2. Its processor speed went up to 900 MHz compared to the previous 700 MHz and got double the RAM. After the 2, Pi 0 was created. This computer sold for only $5, had a processing speed of 1 GHz, and had a half a gigabyte of RAM, and was much smaller than the previous Raspberry Pis. This device still continues to be one of the most impressive and bought single-board computers on the market today. Later, the Raspberry Pi 3 came out with a key feature being built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Soon later, a new version of the Raspberry Pi 0 was released, being only $10 and including Wi-Fi and Bluetooth just like the Pi 3. Later came new versions of the Raspberry Pi 3. Then we get to today with the Raspberry Pi 4. This is by far the most impressive Raspberry Pi to date. It features 4 choices of RAM, 1, 2, 4, or 8 GB, Bluetooth 5.0 and Wi-Fi, and even a more powerful processor clocked at 1.5 GHz. This was the first Raspberry Pi to include USB 3.0. After the Pi 4's huge success, the Pi Foundation wanted to increase the Raspberry Pi's ease of use, so they came up with the Raspberry Pi 400. The internals are very similar to a Raspberry Pi 4, but its key selling point is that it comes with a keyboard case for a cleaner setup with less wires. That brings us to the end of the Raspberry Pi single-board computers as of this date, but they recently released the Raspberry Pi Pico. Not a single-board computer, but a board that features a microcontroller, great for tasks that need an even lower power consumption. Now that you know about Raspberry Pi, what projects can you do with it? The possibilities are endless. Some people's projects include making retro gaming stations, drones, network-attached storage devices, camera mounting systems, and many more. Raspberry Pi features. The Raspberry Pi Foundation is still going on strong. The public recently got word on the upcoming Raspberry Pi 4A and Raspberry Pi 5. With more people going into the computing and electrical engineering fields, taught with the huge successes of their computers, the Raspberry Pi Foundation is showing no signs of stopping anytime soon. For more information, head over to www.raspberrypi.org or watch some of my other YouTube videos. Well, I hope I informed you about the Raspberry Pi. If I did, please like, comment, and subscribe for more videos just like this one. Thanks for watching.